Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies with today's Monday's Musings on the 29th of September 2025. When I fit into the date and the time of where we are, there is a real pulling down of my energy, a real distraction to try and figure things out, which could be easily done by adding up the vibration and the frequency of things that are occurring. It feels very important this week not to get caught up in the attention grabbing noise, and that is what it is. It's taking us from our own inner truth. Today's video is going to be quite short in comparison to normal videos for many reasons. Firstly, today is World Heart Day, and in honour of that and some of the things that have been occurring in my own life, I am prioritising my own heart, my own well-being. To do so, that comes with an energy of less is more. Not necessarily from a place of being unable to give, but from knowing and believing in what I share and the truth of that, and not needing to overcomplicate it, which is something we're all going to face this week, an invitation to face this week. However, in order to do so, that is going to require prioritising ourselves so that we, one, take care of our own vessel and the wisdom that's coming through, but more importantly, look at where we may be projecting, rather than speaking our inner truth, projecting other reasons around it that will almost dilute it. There is a lot going on collectively at present, and we will see over the next few weeks, with the help of the full moon in Aries and the new moon in Libra, over the next few weeks we will see many things related to leadership, many things related to those in power changing, particularly in regards to potentially the monarchy and government institutes. We will also see many things around our own identity, how we see that and the control that may be over that. However, at the moment we're in Libra season. We have an opportunity to really look at the relationships around us. We have an opportunity to really feel into any imbalance. We have an opportunity to really sense into the injustices around us. But come the end of the month, as we go into Scorpio season, there's no avoiding the depth that is required to go beyond the surface level, to go beyond the veil of our own illusions, if you will, and really sense into the leadership of our own inner authenticity that is at risk through our own decisions. Is that going to be comfortable? Of course not. And we're going to find many situations that no longer resonate with us, but cause quite an extreme dissonance within us. I'm seeing a lot of circumstances playing out around me that are repetitions of things that we've already known, just in different forms, in different guises, if you will. And the invitation there is to go beyond the initial reaction, which is from trauma, the initial reaction which is from having been here before, the initial reaction which is from the sensation of feeling as if nothing has changed, to what is inspiring that episode, that shift within us, which is our authentic self. To look at what, or perhaps who, we may be avoiding. I've written down a few things here for today's video because it feels quite important to have structure this week. There is a lot of, it's not potential, I want to say the word potential coming in, but it's not potential. There's a lot of battles, conflicts, protagonistic energy coming in that is actually moving us away from our potential. I'm not suggesting we ignore what is going on, but take it further. That's the invitation as we go into 2026, to take it further by streamlining what is going on for us. Where are we at before we share, make decisions and react to everything that is occurring around us. So I've spoke about the heart care, really, really important. When we're in the space of our heart, not only do we speak that truth, but we resonate with frequencies around us like the earth, and the further opportunities that can come from that. I'm going to leave it at that because there's a lot of different potential there for everybody, but unless you find your own heartbeat, unless you can find your own rhythm, none of that is going to be tapped into. And that is going to take priorities, as I've mentioned. That is going. We've always known that Virgo season and this year was about prioritization. I've seen a lot of posts where people have suggested that they feel as if they're in limbo, that a lot of this year has been like a waiting room. It was an opportunity. And I say that with some sadness because I've mentioned the words it was. We are coming to the end of the year. That opportunity to prioritize isn't going to be as available come Scorpio season, come November. So this now, in this present moment, is a culmination. Linked into the 1010 portal, of course, it's a culmination, an opportunity to really prioritize what is important to us. It's not just about our needs, not that that's not enough, but it is about our authentic self. It is about our soul potential, and it is about the path that we're here to walk. And if we don't prioritize ourselves within that, directions may change. Less is more, which I've spoken about when it's our own truth. There are a lot of fears being used against us collectively, but also we may find in our own environments, in our family situations, in our relationships in particular. Our fears are being used against us, and they can only be used against us, our wounds, our triggers, all of these things. We see it all the time, you know, with pain points, you know, in the selling techniques, and, you know, all of these things that are being initiated make us respond, which is great if we're going to work through the process. However, at the moment, there's a lot that are being triggered. There's a lot that is coming to the surface, and it is being used against us. The only way it can be used against us is if we don't know about it. If we don't embrace our fears, if we don't really not work with the shadow, heal the shadow, fix the shadow, but embody that part of ourselves that we may have pushed to one side. And this is where I want to talk about compassion. I'm aware that this reading is going to be more to the point, and it's okay to acknowledge that sometimes the most compassionate thing we can do is to really get honest and real with where we are. It may not be comfortable. Compassion isn't always comfortable, and there's quite a band-aid belief mentality around that. Compassion can be looking at your situation with truth and with honesty. So our fears being used against us, there's changes in leadership that are coming, obviously, but it is time that we recognise our own sovereignty and that it's that is actually being threatened. Whether it's digital ID or closer to home, we are being reminded to be our authentic self. During Libra season, which I've mentioned, the portal this month is all about completion in how we see ourselves with the help of relationships, imbalances and injustices. We're going to see that again come up, particularly control, particularly in regards to making informed choices. And the invitation there this month actually, but particularly this week, we're going to start to see it unravel. The invitation is to look at where these choices have been formed from within. Informed choices. Are they ours? Are they ancestral? Are they societal? Do we feel as if we have no control? Where does that come from? Where are we lacking leadership in our own decisions and therefore our own life? Triggering old responses, which I've spoke about. So it is about gaining a new vision. The deck that I'm going to use are the Rider-Waite Radiant Tarot. I was tempted to use the Rider-Waite New Vision, but whilst it is about gaining a new vision, that is of what we're already seeing. It's not about seeing something different. It's about actually allowing ourselves to truthfully perceive what is going on if we wish for any new perspective to come from that. How? By allowing more light in, particularly our own. By allowing more of our own truth, recognizing that light is truth. By allowing more of our own truth, no matter how uncomfortable. You know, light isn't always pleasant. We get really caught up in the dark and the light, and what we've done is separate the energy. Light is light, and it has different shades, different densities. Sometimes light isn't pleasant, just like truth. Sometimes authenticity or compassion can be uncomfortable, but if we can allow more of that in, then the perspective that we have of a situation has the potential to actually change, and then we bring forth a new vision. But the light that we need to let in more is ourselves and how we see ourselves, particularly as we go into Scorpio season. I've got here, by going to our inner depth and lifting the veil on what has been hidden beneath our own often superficial surfaces. Now, that's not to say what is going on isn't important. That's not to say what is going on isn't deep. That's not to say what is going on isn't relevant to where you are. It's the shore of the ocean, and the ocean is you. So allowing whatever happens this week to encourage you to step further into your own being, into your own authenticity. And that may come with some uncomfortable waves of awareness. So finding space for yourself, prioritizing yourself, and coming back to the heart is the guidance that I would give this week. So how do we best navigate that? Well, I am going to do a tarot reading for the energies this week, as always, to give some form of structure. And that feels important. It's not about letting go of what worked or works for you. It's about really building upon that as a foundation. So while some structures and beliefs and frameworks are going to crumble this week, individually, probably more than collectively, it's not about getting rid of it all. It's not about, the phrase chucking the baby out with the bathwater. It's not about getting rid of it all, but it's about recognizing underneath what you can now build upon. And to do that, you may be shown where you've been less authentic in who you are and the reasons why. It's not about getting caught up in the reasons why. An example, I have this overwhelming fear of loss, particularly in regards to those that I love, and I will placate a lot of my emotions and a lot of my yearnings and desires out of fear that I may lose what I love if that doesn't agree with people around me, situations around me. I can recognize that. I'm not going to get caught up in that. Take that step further. Okay, so what would that look like if I didn't have that loss, or if I didn't have that fear, or if I have that fear but I still keep going? Fear, it's not about getting rid of it. It's about acknowledging it for the energy that it is and working with it. Okay, so this week, yes, I notice I'm going off track. Getting to the point, coming from the heart, standing in your own truth, allowing whatever is going on around you to show you where leadership is a key point in your own life and where that may be at risk with the choices that you are choosing to make based on the information that you have inside of you. Okay, so energies this week and how to best navigate them. Bring more light to the situation. Bring more truth to the situation. Particularly your own. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. And that light can come from not overcomplicating things this week, really going into what you feel, acknowledging, of course, where that comes from, but not giving even that more attention than it needs. Balance between emotions and actions this week, streamlined. The potential is there. Oh. Okay, we have the Nine of Swords, but the Nine of Swords has fallen out the pack and is actually upside down. So is it as bad as we think it is? Is it something that we didn't already know? Have we come to that point of transition and completion? And really it's up to us mentally now to decide how we want to view this situation. Is it an opportunity to get our shit together? Or is it a nightmare that we're continually recreating because we're afraid of doing just that? Underneath it all, we have the Eight of Pentacles. There is work to be done. There's always work to be done here. But the other thing I've noticed this weekend, before everything occurred, I was being shown a lot of the things that I'd survived. And I recognised that that was giving me, out of the blue, and I recognised that that was giving me necessary compassion. When I had that, my body started to show me some of the areas that I had yet to move through or process. So allowing yourself to focus as well on the things that you have done, the structures that do work, taking them forward, particularly at times when you don't feel as if there's an answer, realising what you have come through with compassion, not placation. There's a real difference. The card that I just shuffled over was the Queen of Pentacles, so we'll see if she comes back up, but really connecting to our body and our intuitive feminine wisdom, but acknowledging that that doesn't mean complacency with ourselves as well. Ace of Swords underneath the pack and the Nine of Pentacles. It is time to get clear on what abundance means to us, and aligning with our authentic self is the only route to finding that out. The only route to finding that out. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. It is important to make it personal for yourself, but not to take it personally, and there's a big difference. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. Yeah, there is that remembrance of getting to the point and trusting the process. Underneath it all, we have the Three of Pentacles. The more we prioritise ourselves, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the more we can get authentically aligned, the more energies can come in and help us create whatever it is we're trying to create. If there's a co-collaboration going on here, we can only connect to our tribe, to our path, to our own wisdom by realigning continuously if we need to this week. Finding ways to do that. People, situations that will help you do that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, interesting. So we do have some same cards coming back out. Overall, we do have the Nine of Swords coming back out. And this week we are going to be shown where we are in a, I want to say a mental shitstorm, basically, where we are creating a nightmare. Where we are, rather than dreaming a world into being, taking that focus and allowing the external circumstances to predict and to impact the choices that we make. You can see here that this person doesn't want to face the reality they're in. And I get it. I get it. Sometimes it can be really, really difficult. This morning alone, I'm realizing where a lot of the choices in my own life haven't been my choices. They've been my choices, but they have been based on what would make others happy. And keeping that calm and, you know, whatever your trigger may be, as I say, mine is loss. There will be a reason underneath to keep creating the nightmare. Showing yourself some compassion with that by waking up to it. Waking up to the truth of your situation. Only then can we start to complete any mental loops that we may find ourselves in. And on the Monday, that's going to take, there's a lot of pentacle cards this week. It's a lot of physical embodiment. On the Monday, that is going to take balance. That is going to take that prioritizing. That is going to take, this is what I'm capable of giving. Not only to recognize your strengths and to be supportive of any changes that are occurring within you, but to ensure that you don't project onto other situations. Taking responsibility for that harmony within you, that emotional reset, that nervous regulation, that vagal system, whatever you want to call it, that peace. Finding that peace before reacting is going to be really important, because that peace is your authentic self. Now, that's not to say that it comes with all sunshines and rainbows, but being okay with where you are is really, really, really going to be important, particularly on the Monday. It may feel as if it's small things, but it's kind of like what I see as the wobble board, you know, the core strength wobble board. It's kind of like the more we practice this muscle memory within us, every time we are glimmered and triggered, we will end up seeing that as an opportunity to come back to our core, to come back to our center. And the more we can, like the gym, right? The more we can connect to our soul on that level, the easier it's going to be, and the more difference we're going to make. So even though it feels like a small step, particularly on the Monday, it can change your whole life. An example, recognizing today with discomfort where I haven't been making the choices that are for my potential, where they've been coming from trauma and fear. I know how that feels now. I can really embody how that feels. And that's the whole point of these lessons, keep repeating themselves, right? Even though we've seen it before, we're being encouraged to feel it, to connect to it on a deeper level, which I can do today. So in future, when that comes up, I can recognize it more and take more, not control, more creation over the decisions that I make. So really, really feeling into coming back to center every time. And that coming back to center is as simple as feeling what's going on. Coming back into the body. Peace and harmony, yes, they don't always mean that we're smiling, but we're being true and we're being authentic with what we feel. On the Tuesday, we then have the Knight of Pentacles once we've come into that more grounded masculine way of being. So we assume obviously that the feminine is the feelings and the intuition, but the masculine is the actions that we take based on them. So if we can't come into our body, then that sacred masculine, those real grounded actions do not reach their potential. So by the time we come into our body on the Tuesday, take time, take stock, be still, ground into what is going on. Any actions are going to be a lot more long-term, stable, growing choices. On the Wednesday, we have another masculine figure. So far, the beginning of the week, I mean, it's the feminine that's struggling, but so far, the whole beginning of the week are all masculine figures. On the Wednesday, we have the King of Cups. We've balanced our priorities. We've really grounded into what we want, where we're going, based on the truths that perhaps we may not have had the time, patience, expansion, courage to acknowledge. On the Wednesday, we start to realize, hang on a minute, these emotions, these things that I'm feeling, even though they can be uncomfortable, are here to help me decide which way I'm going now. Are here to help me decide how I'm going to create with whatever is going on for me. On the Thursday, we have the Moon card. We have the first major arcana for the beginning of the week. And once we acknowledge, this is what I'm like when I'm balanced. This, from that space, is actually what I want. This is what I'm capable of. On the Thursday, we have the Moon card. Yes, we have that emotional illusion. Hang on a minute, I thought I was this, this and this. Hang on a minute, I thought I wanted this, this and this. Hang on a minute, I thought this is where I was headed. And that wild, intuitive wisdom starts to become more of a loyal friend than something to fear or something that can be used against us as well. Come the Thursday, we start to see where our own narrative has been serving a less than higher potential. That veil is going to start lifting on the Thursday. On the Friday, that's going to bring the Tower card. That's going to bring those changes. Now this morning I felt as if the earth had moved. I felt as if someone had pulled the rug out from underneath me, even though I knew what was going on, even though I knew from the choices that I'd made, where I was and why I was there. It didn't mean that emotionally, physically, I didn't feel it. And on the Friday, we're going to sense that. On the Friday, we're going to realise that we can be aware of all of these things, but the sudden changes may actually take an impact in our body on the Friday. So having that compassion, having that priority, really taking care of ourselves and acknowledging things need to shift, things need to move through us as well. On the Saturday, we have the Page of Cups, and this is an opportunity to really see ourselves either as the shore or as the ocean. We can see things happening to us, or we can see ourselves within the creation itself. It's entirely up to us, and it is based on the amount of light that we can see, the perspective that we have of who we are. This week is a wonderful opportunity for that, because it's one thing to say wake up, or it's one thing to acknowledge that we're living a nightmare, but if we can't see the full embodiment of our potential, that can be quite a daunting place. And on the Saturday, that comes with lightening up things a little bit, particularly creatively. So having fun with these new things that we've discovered about ourselves, really using it rather than a knee-jerk reaction to cover up what we're seeing or to create from a place of vengeance or anger. It's not that those emotions aren't positive in the right hands, it's about acknowledging what hands they're in. In this card, it is a more younger energy. That can be the inner child or the inner wild. That depends on how we want to work with this energy. Is it a healed energy that we're working with, or is it an energy that has trauma? What do we need in order to create something that expresses our potential and our greatness? What do we need? Who do we need that is going to reflect back that light now? On the Sunday, that's where the work comes in. On the Sunday, we have the Eight of Pentacles. There's an opportunity here to look at everything that we have gone through, everything that we have survived, and that's there all week. These two cards have come back up, the Eight of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. We can either see it for a nightmare that we can't mentally escape from, or mastery of our own physical embodiment, taking spirit and bringing it into form, what is happening and how we react. The choice is ours. And obviously on the Sunday, that kind of brings some form of, it's not a completion, but it's an infinite loop Okay, it's an infinite loop of what we have discovered and how we want to take that forward. It's an ongoing process. So we have two major arcanas, which are the Moon and the Tower card, really looking at change, really looking at our illusion of change, really looking at the emotional cycles we may find ourselves in, really looking at where we may have been repeating them, really looking at where the universe may have tried to step in and help and we may have worked with it or ignored it. Acknowledging how we feel about change is going to be the key before we even move into 2026. Yes, for some this year has been a in-between space. It's been a place of no matter what you do, not quite getting there. It's been an opportunity to build stronger foundations. Those foundations are not based on what you do. Those foundations are not based on your relationships. Those foundations are not based on your beliefs or people's control of it. Those foundations are based on your ability to connect to your authentic self. This week with the Moon and the Tower card, we're going to be shown where we haven't. And allowing that to be the foundation, the stability. How many times can I say the word foundation? Allowing that to help us see what actually is our grounding. What are our core beliefs? What are, for me, the whole loss thing comes from punishment of what I want and being punished for that. So really getting to the nitty gritty of our core beliefs, really getting to the cellular level of how this impacts what we're building upon. Because until we do that, yes, we're going to find that things just keep crumbling. Things are going to keep falling away, to keep shedding the skin of the stories that we no longer need to take forward. That is the potential this week. On a minor arcana level, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, sounds like playing bingo. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pentacle cards, and I almost want to keep coming back to that, coming back to the physicalness of it. But first and foremost, I want to go to the sword energy. We have the 9 of Swords. We have one card. We have a choice here, whether we want to complete the mental loops that we find ourselves in, whether we want to take responsibility for some of the nightmares that we are creating. And that may sound harsh, but some of the most compassionate things we can do for ourselves is to get real. It is to wake up, not to what's going on in the world around us, but to ourselves, to wake up to our potential, to wake up to where we may not have been embodying that, to wake up to where we may have been picking scenarios that do nothing but keep initiating our fear so that we can keep ourselves small. Recognizing that's an ongoing process. This is number 9, right? It's an ongoing process. 9 isn't about endings, it's about completion. It's about integration. We cannot integrate something if we don't realize it's there. Giving yourself permission this week to really connect to the energies that may have been, for whatever reason, stopping you from creating the dreams you dared to dream. Be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself. Try, if you can, to ease on the judgment. This is about looking up. It's not about berating. It's not about keeping ourselves small. It's about looking up. Okay, so yes, I do this because of this, this and this, and that's because that and that is important to me. What does my heart need to keep moving through this? It's not about getting rid of it, but taking it with you and moving through it. Okay, we then have 2 cup cards, the Page of Cups and the King of Cups, and there's emotional maturity here. There is emotional maturity here, but it comes from going with the process, acknowledging the beauty of the process and yourself within it. So again, reflecting on the things that have changed, but also the things that may need improvement or growth or flow or healing. Recognizing it's an ongoing circle here. It is related to the masculine, so it is in connection to our actions. Acknowledging that everything that has happened has got us to this point. Taking a moment to allow that to come in. It's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's about truly appreciating ourselves in the process of creation. We then have, we don't have any wand cards this week, but we do have the flames, the enlightenment flames of Yod that are coming from the tower. So we have enough of those sparks to create change. It's not about, life is going to give us the spiritual initiations that we need this week. So it's not about hunting them out and finding them. If you find yourself really looking into things that can just help support that perhaps less positive narrative for yourself, that's not needed. Life's going to give you what you need to create the change, trusting that process. We then have 4 pentacle cards, the 3, the 2, the Knight and the 8. The balance, the stability and the restriction comes from our physicality this week. We can't make it all about our physical process. We can't make it all about the things that we want. We can't make it all about the things that we're doing or the jobs or the home or whatever. We need to be connected to that, but there also needs to be balance. So I have longed for a happy family my whole life. And in that, I can see where there are times that I have placated my own needs for what I believe I want physically outside of me. So being very mindful with that, being very truthful with that. Is this supporting you? Is it caging you in? Is it helping your potential? Is it restricting it? Who are you connecting with? Are they helping you to bring forth what it is you're trying to create? Parts of yourself included. Are you connecting to your shadow, your inner child? Is that part of you healed or wounded? It's definitely my wounded inner child that's made a lot of decisions for me, and I can see that now with compassion. So allowing that balance, come back to your authentic self, keep coming back to the heart, allow that to be the grounding. I've said it before, our root chakra isn't the only chakra, whatever you want to call it, isn't the only energy center that grounds us. All our energy centers ground us. This week it is the heart. This week, and I feel that, gosh, I really, really feel that this week it is coming back to the heart and being true with some of the things that we may not have been ready to hear until now. And that's where we acknowledge every step that we've taken has got us to the point of being able to listen, to really listen. And that is the work. That is the work. That is the ongoing sacred work, to listen to our heart, to connect to the energy and the wisdom of love, or what we would call moon eye, and allow that to be the flow, the change, the waters of life itself that creates any shifts that are needed. So one card this week, how to best navigate it. Oh, one's fallen out. Yeah. So we have to the one side the 8 of Cups. I really felt like this video might be 33 minutes long, which would be the Christ consciousness, but I really felt as well to take time with that. You know, it's not about numerical frequencies. Much as they're an invitation to look at the bigger picture, there's so much more to life. It's not about just the Christ consciousness. It's not about just the tarot. It's not about these limited things. It's about how we work with them and how we connect with them. It's that that's going to move us on. On the left, we have the 8 of Cups. On the feminine, we have the cup for grief, for loss, but also we have the character moving forward from that. Okay, so really recognizing from an intuitive level, everything we've learned, everything we've experienced is here to help us move forward now, stacking it up. You know, really reflecting over it, taking some much needed time for introspection. Underneath that, we don't have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the King of Pentacles. Yes, nurturing it, but doing so in our actions, allowing our actions to be aligned to the part of us that has moved on. That's integration. On the right, we have the Chariot. We have that masculine figure again, but we have the Chariot here. It may not quite come in the way that we would expect, and that's where we really need to let go of the ego. Is it the ego driving the reins? Is it our divine destiny driving the reins? This week we're going to be shown both scenarios. We're then going to be given a choice who we let take the reins on so many levels. See you next week. Take care.